We talked earlier in the hour how the ruling on the president's immigration order could end up going to the Supreme Court. We have a former Attorney General of the state of Virginia, Ken Cuccinelli, with us now on what we should expect from this legal fight ahead. Good to see you, Ken. And the other thing we were talking about is whether or not it should, from the administration's point of view, might it be more legally wise to just start over again and write a more precise order, a completely different executive order? Where do you stand on all this?
Yeah, much wiser, Colonel. I think that's exactly what ought to happen. Understand that if the government presses ahead to the Supreme Court at this stage, the deck is stacked against them. It's part of why they lost 3-0 last night, is because they have appealed on an emergency basis the restraining order put in place by Judge Hobart. And what that means is that they have to prove they're going to win everything. And the court last night said government didn't show that was likely. And that's not an unlikely outcome at the Supreme Court, not because President Trump's position isn't the correct legal one, because I believe very strongly that it is, but because of the posture in which it would come to the Supreme Court would put them at a huge disadvantage. I think they're much better off pulling this order and substituting 5 or 6 more discrete executive orders that cover the various different populations addressed all at once under the current executive order that they're struggling with in court. And it is the Ninth Circuit. They're reversed more than any other circuit. But that's only if you go all the way to the trial, all the way to the merits, and that takes a long time. And President Trump has made it clear he wants to elevate the level of safety he's providing to Americans faster than that.
So, and maybe the lesson learned here is in the precision of the writing of the executive orders. We learned through the provision, for example, on green card holders. So if you know that and you're the administration and you want to take Ken Cuccinelli's advice and go with 5 or 6 executive orders, give me an example of how one of those could be written precisely. What would be a goal that you could accomplish, say, in one of those executive orders?
Sure. Let's zero in on the most outrageous part of these court rulings. This is that both the judge last Friday and this 3-judge panel have enjoined and allowed to stand the injunction on behalf of people in these 7 countries that are acknowledged by President Obama formally and the Congress to be particularly dangerous sources of terrorism. So that's already in place. And that anyone in those countries is covered by these orders, including people who have never been to the United States, have never even applied for a visa to the United States, haven't even been here illegally. And that's 99.9% of the people covered by the executive order President Trump signed, and they have no constitutional rights to challenge any of it. So write them their own executive order, and there'll be no one to challenge it. And so 99% plus of what the president is trying to accomplish will be accomplished, could be accomplished today without any ability of anyone on earth to challenge it in court.
I think that approach, it seems, from talking to a number of people, seems to be gaining a lot of momentum. I don't know that the president, Ken, is watching our conversation. I assume in his meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister he may be distracted, but I've heard a lot of other people talking about that today. It'd be interesting to see where they go with this. Thanks for joining us. I always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Ken Cuccinelli.